Wow. Hi, welcome to Kapow Film Festival. This is the Kapow Film Festival Q&A section. We are here with Kyle um, with the film AE1. Kyle, welcome to Kapow Film Festival.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate the being invited to film this interview and being invited into the festival. We're pretty stoked about it.
Awesome, awesome. So Kyle, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from.
Yeah, well, I'm from a very small town in Northern California that almost nobody's heard of. Valley Springs, if you've heard of it, anybody out there? But I moved to LA in 2008 to go to USC to study acting. So I've been here for whatever over 12 years at this point. So I consider myself an Angelino. This is home now. But yeah, went to USC, loved it there. And then, after graduating college, you do your post how do I pay bills struggle, which is always fun. Um, and then, I started meeting other people who were like minded about wanting to make not just any work, which is fine, and that's got its own purpose, but to make great work and good quality that people, actually want to watch. you know, um, and so, yeah, excited about the few things that I've done with my production company that I started a few years ago called Pirate Girly Productions. Um, and stoked about what we're working on now and future projects.
Awesome, awesome. So with that kind of background situation, who are some of your influences as a filmmaker? Like, who did you love watching growing up and wanted to emulate? What are some?
You know, yeah, I grew up, I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be an actor. So I would say that my influences primarily throughout my life have been the movies that I watched growing up in terms of an acting perspective. And I loved Singing in the Rain, Summer Stock, Judy Garland, Gene Kelly, the classics. I would watch Turner Classic Movies all the time. um, and so that's really where I got excited about not just movies, but wanting to be in them. And so making them has been, like on my end in terms of directing and producing, and the filmmaking end has been a little bit of a newer venture just the last, um, you know, 3 to 4 years. So it's been exciting to sort of transition. And of course, acting is still my first priority, my first love, but it's been great getting into um, the other side of the camera, right? Where the most concern is, where you have the most things to do. Not that acting isn't, difficult and fulfilling in its own way. It absolutely is, but there's so much more on the other side of the camera. And so I'm, still learning, and I'm excited to learn the things that I don't know yet, and to work with amazing people who are, better than me and further than me and have a lot to teach. I'm soaking it all in right now.
Awesome. Well, speaking of that, since you're on both sides, how was it working on this project of yours, AE1? How is, from that perspective, the production aspect and the acting aspect? Like, how was it to work on both?
Yeah, I mean, it does present its own kind of challenge directing work that you're also acting in, right? Sometimes it means the shoot day is a little bit longer because you have to go watch stuff. But um, I think I really enjoy directing because as an actor, I know what's helpful for me in terms of like feedback and direction from a director, and I know what's not helpful. So I feel like having that, the basis of my experience being as the performer, as the actor, that gives me some good experience and insight into how I communicate with my actors. That's the most exciting part. Although I love working with my DP, specifically Travis Prow, the cinematographer for AE1, fantastic. Um, but yeah, so I appreciate that I have that perspective to be able to communicate with actors in a way that's asking them and having it come from their performance, from their mind, rather than like me telling them, this is what I want or this is what I'm going for. So I find that relationship exciting. Directing actors, being an actor myself, that's one of the best parts of being on set for me. So it was a really great experience.
Interesting. So you're an actress director.
Yeah, I started acting from a young age, and now I'm getting into the directing and producing part of it. So lots to absorb, lots to learn, but I'm having the time of my life. So surrounding myself with people that know more than me, that have done this longer, that's one of my consistent goals with my projects because, always more to learn, always more perspectives to soak in when it comes to filmmaking.
So what was the premise of this project? How did that come about?
Yeah, so I it's funny, as an actor I get called in a lot for non-human roles where she maybe looks human but she's actually a demon, or she's a snake, or she's the personification of life or something like that. So I really enjoy like the sci-fi genre that I seem to have been niched into, which I love. And so it started, like, oh, I would like to have updated material on my reel. And I reached out to a phenomenal writer friend of mine, Alyssa Appleton. She wrote AE1, and she's written other projects that I've produced and that she's done on her end. And I was like, I don't have a specific idea, but I'd like to have something like maybe in the robot world and kind of inspired by the first season of Westworld. Like, what do you think about that? And she's like, oh, yeah, I'll throw something together because she's so brilliant. It just like takes her no time. And she sent me this script, and I was like, this is amazing because as an actor, it was such a treat to have a role where you can literally run the gamut of emotions, like which you don't often necessarily get to do. Um, anyway, I'm getting excited about her writing, so I'm like losing my point. But um, so it started, I need a scene for my reel. And then it kind of grew from there. We were like, well, where do we want to shoot this? What do we want it to look like? Like, what is the production design? What is the, in addition to the story? And it just started evolving more into this, this kind of feels like more of a short film, a micro short film opportunity to like make this the best that it can be beyond this idea of just having material for my acting reel. And so the more people we brought onto it, the more exciting it became. And then the larger the budget got. And it evolved into this bigger, more special thing that has since taken on a life of its own and has been received in great film festivals like Kapow. And we may or may not be working on a feature version of AE1. So yeah, it was a surprising and exciting way that this kind of came about, um, in a really unexpected way. But again, surrounding myself with people who are love what they do and are amazing at what they do. I mean, it turned into what you see as AE1, which is like definitely beyond acting real material quality, I would say. Like, you know what I mean? So we really, it was such a joy, and yeah, it was exciting to see it progress in that way.
Yeah, it was very interesting to watch because, like you said, the production value, the acting, it was beyond what you would expect for a short film. It almost felt like we were watching like an episode of something that's already on TV or something. So it's a
Love that.
very good quality, very good job on you guys. And
Thank you.
you kind of alluded to the question that I was going to ask about. Are you guys going to develop this into a feature or a show or?
Well, yeah, it's we've kind of gotten excited about that now, because of how it turned out so cool. And we're all so proud of it that, in talking with the writer, Alyssa, I started bouncing further ideas off of her. And I was like, wait, I just thought of like 30 pages worth of backstory for this character. Like, I think this wants to be more. And so yeah, we're getting excited about that, and it's one of the things that we're working on. Um, because yeah, like I said, it evolved in such a way, which makes it really fulfilling, right? Instead of like having this idea in mind of what I wanted to do and like going head first for it and like maybe being disappointed by the product, or maybe it turns out okay, or maybe loving it. I like that it started from something small and now it's turned into like we're super stoked about this and like we're going to take it further than we expected from the beginning. So I'm excited by that.
Awesome. Well, so I have two questions for you. So, what is the
Okay.
message that you want to get across from anyone watching this film? What is it that you wanted to get across?
I find something interesting for me in what I'm working on and what I write and what I source. Um, this idea of humanity, particularly not necessarily good and evil, but rather the nuances of humanity, right? So I don't know if it's spoilery. I'm assuming if somebody's at the Q&A section, they've watched it. Um, but the premise is sort of downloading this mission to murder into this AI, and it's like the person that's being targeted is a bad guy. We make it clear that he's a bad guy, that he's hurt people, and it's like, yeah, but you're going to turn around and do that too. So it's like, does that make you the good guy? Or do you know what I mean? So I think I find exploring the nuances of humanity, and stopping and thinking about perspective on a larger scale, I would say, thinking about perspectives and considering other people's perspectives, and also understanding people's motivations or the things that they do and say are all reflected by their own perspective and experience, right? So we might think something is good, bad, or ugly, right? But if those words are coming from somebody and they're, surrounded in their own world of their justifications or their reasoning or the greater good, I find that really interesting. Um, Exploring that and like not totally being sure who we're rooting for because it's like, oh, if you're hurting the bad guy, are you the new bad guy? I just find it really fascinating. So I would say, and of course, uh, expanding this project, we'd be able to dive into that a lot more.
Interesting. So, my last question would be if you could give advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Oh, so much, but we'll keep it filmmaking related. um, It's interesting. Uh, when I was young, watching these classic movies, like I was saying, being inspired by these actors and like wanting to be in the movies, it was from that performer perspective, right? I didn't think about it in a more global filmmaking perspective until much later. And so, in a way, there's a lot of talk right now and expectation for actors to create their own content right now, so that you can find fulfillment in your own work, whether or not the industry is recognizing you or, giving you applause or booking, whether you're booking other jobs. So I would say, I guess I would have just encouraged myself to not wait for other people to give me permission to do the thing, you know, um, because I think it's relatively more recent, I would say, in the last like 5 to 7 years, this this message of, oh, all actors should be creating their own content, which, if we're honest, wasn't the case 15 years ago. There's plenty of working actors today who they didn't have to create their own content just to be recognized, to get, so it's just a different industry. It's evolved. And so I guess just preparing myself for that if I had known, and yeah, not waiting for permission to do what I love to do, and not waiting for the industry to recognize me before I recognize myself, essentially. So, yeah.
All right. All right. Well, it was great to talk to you. Is there any information you want to give as far as your website, Instagram, where people can follow some more of your projects and your journey and your team's journey and this project as well?
For sure. Yes, I'm most active on Instagram in terms of social media. My personal Instagram is KYLEMCOLUCCI. If you just search Kyle Marie Colucci, I'm the only one that pops up. And then our production company's Instagram is Pirate Girly Prod, girly with a U. And again, if you just search Pirate Girly Productions, it's the only one that pops up. Yeah, we've got updates about AE1 and all the awesome festivals it's getting into, and also other projects that we're working on. So that would be where you could connect with me on socials. My website is my full name, kylemariecolucci.com, and it links to the production side of it too. So that's where you can find me digitally.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, congratulations on all your success, the wonderful project. We're looking forward to your project being showcased on Kapow, and for all the festival attendees to finally watch your project and see your Q&A here and get to keep up with you with your journey and how this project is going. And much success on both sides, since you are both an actress, actor, and director, producer. You have many things that are happening.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, truly.
Awesome. See you at the festival. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.